So in this video, I wanted to take a quick look at this pen. It's called the Stabilo Palette. And what it is a office-friendly, kind of everyday 0.4 millimeter black gel pen with a retractable design. I think in the US at least, Stabilo is largely associated with kind of art products, but this is more of a standard office type gel pen. Sold in, I think I bought it in a 12 pack, and I had never seen this pen before maybe 6 months ago, and then I randomly landed it on eBay. I bought a few of them just because I tend to like Stabilo products, and I do really like their rollerball series. So I saw this and I just picked it up. I've been using it on and off since then. So what do you get with the palette? Again, it has an art-inspired name, kind of like a paint palette, but I mean, I guess it could be like an oak palette for moving stuff around, but it makes me think of art. But it's not really an artsy pen, so I can't quite figure out what the deal with it is. But anyway, fully plastic body, rubberized grip, and it's quite long. So this whole lower portion is rubberized. Like many of Stabilo's products, like the kind of the Worker and the Bionics, it has a ergonomic handle, which I actually really enjoy. It's thinner here and wider here, which is quite nice. If you're kind of a low gripper, you have some nice grippy area right here, pretty close to the tip. A little fullness gauge here. This is hard plastic, again, also ergonomically shaped. A reasonable, but not great, plastic clip, and a retractable design. This is the black 0.4 millimeter. I haven't seen it sold in any other colors or sizes. I'd imagine it is. Maybe they haven't made their way to US yet, or not really popular on Amazon or anything like that. I haven't done a ton of more research into it. I've just been kind of using this one. Here's kind of what I would associate with a more typical Stabilo. This is their Point Visco, which is a 0.5 millimeter art type gel pen. And you can see it's much more kind of like art inspired. And a lot of Stabilo's products that you find in the US kind of are more like this one. The pen does come apart. You can see it has a pretty normal looking gel refill in it. Again, 0.4 millimeter black gel. And there's not a whole lot else to this pen. It's like, again, I don't know if it's that good looking. Kind of looks a little weird to me and kind of bulgy and undulating. But I do find it to be very comfortable. And I really do like using it, which is true for me of I'd say most of Stabilo's rollerball and gel pens. I even like their ballpoints. And I have a few like this Point Visco that are retractable that I like a lot. And then obviously this Point Visco series I tend to enjoy. I think they're kind of underappreciated. So let's do a quick writing test with this Point Visco. With the palette. So it's a nice, smooth, black gel pen, consistent line, no problems with reliability. And I've been through a few of these. Just like I said, I bought a multi-pack. This is one of the newer ones. Good color saturation and just a good, solid black gel pen. It's a 0.4 millimeter. I would say for most companies, this is more like a 0.7 millimeter. Stabilo uses kind of the European sizing where it's like 0.4 is the kind of actual width of the ball, whereas the 0.7 would be more like the width of the line as you write. Some companies basically measure them differently, which is why you see a 0.4 and 0.6 in some of the European brands. I think particularly the German brands, as opposed to the more common 0.5 and then 0.7, even though they end up being fairly similar. And here is that Point Visco for comparison. This is a 0.5 millimeter. It's pretty similar. I think the palette tends to be a little bit more reliable, but it's hard to tell. It's probably the same thing. These Point Viscos are not refillable. I don't know what the deal with these are, but yeah, you can't refill them, where the palette is quite simple just to take apart. Look at that nice wide threading on there. It makes it really easy to use. I really like that. And I haven't had it loosen up at all. Once it stops and it's locked in. And then there's that window And you can see how that works. Basically, it is a window. So as you get low on ink, you'll see it go down. Some other quick comparisons. Here is a Sharpie. This is a S-Gel. So this is also a black gel pen. This is a 0.7 millimeter. Nearly identical. I would just say that the Point Visco, these two are, at least in my eyes, slightly darker in color than the Sharpie. These are slightly gray. This is maybe a shade darker. So some extra bonus for the palette. I find the palette to be a smoother writer, and I actually like the body of the palette a lot more than I like the S-Gel. So these are quite popular. With this S-Gel, this is metal, so it's quite nice. It has a little bit extra weight to it, and it does have a fairly comfortable body, but I do prefer the shape and the comfort of the palette. Here we have, this is a, and then, yeah, here's a 0.6 millimeter. This is a Schneider 1 Business, so this will be another quick comparison. This uses a slightly different tip, so it's maybe not a perfect comparison, but this one's a fair bit wider, closer to a conventional 1.0 millimeter, but maybe not quite as, what I say was a 0.6, right? Maybe not quite as wide as a 1.0 millimeter, but definitely on the wider side. Again, it has that kind of non-conventional all plastic tip, so it writes a little bit differently, and you can see it's a good deal wider than that 0.7 millimeter. Lastly, here's a good comparison. This is the Pentel Floatoon, which is a relatively new, this is technically a roller ball, but it's fairly similar to the palette, and it's kind of a office-friendly pen, but it is a roller ball, and the gel palette is a type of roller ball, right? This is 0.8 millimeter, so it's definitely wider. But again, these are both like kind of highly stylized office pens. You can see they're kind of like cooler than a typical office pen for maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but definitely business friendly. And this is the Pentel Floatoon. This is a 0.8 millimeter. This one is definitely wider and definitely smoother than the palette. As far as the kind of like color saturation, here we have the Floatoon, and here we have the palette. Again, the palette seems to have the darker ink, and you know, it's not quite as smooth as the Floatoon. Pentel is really known for their smoothness, but the palette does have a darker ink, more saturated, at least to my eye, and I enjoy writing with it. Again, not quite as smooth as the Floatoon. The Floatoon line is a hair wider, but pretty similar given that one is a 0.8 millimeter and one is a 0.4 millimeter. They definitely don't seem like they are, one is twice the width of the other, right? You can see that right there. I'm not crazy, 0.8 millimeter and 0.4 millimeter. So it goes to say how much variability there is in these things. Anyway, that is the Stabilo palette. Really solid gel pen that I've been really enjoying and definitely recommend. Thanks for watching.